So are you a guy that works from home all the time, or tell me a little bit about yourself as far as what you're doing professionally and how you got started here with Beckstone?
Yeah, so I work in healthcare technology. Been in various roles and companies ever since coming out of college, but most recently I work for a company that's based in San Francisco, but I work from home doing account management, customer success for a company that works with large employers and offers a benefit to their employees that helps them find the top quality doctors, whether it's a specialist or a primary care physician. We also do like remote expert opinions and that type of thing. So been working in that capacity, working with large employers and just helping them direct their employees to the best care.
Yeah, Match.com to the doctors then. So
there you go.
That's
exactly.
Yeah. So and being able to vet out the best, because there's so much information and misinformation. So who do you trust? And having a third party, I can see a market for that. That's awesome.
Big market for it. A lot of big data. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just, if you've been to a couple jobs, I'm just assuming that you're a self-directed IRA guy, that you started at some point to search out, maybe making some investments for yourself. Is that how it all got started?
Yeah, I kind of was just looking at different opportunities, different ways to diversify the portfolio. Had pretty much everything in stocks and that type of thing, from a Roth and a traditional IRA 401k perspective. So just really looking for an opportunity to kind of diversify that a little bit, and started kind of poking around and looking for opportunities, and was able to find Beckstone and leverage some relationships and kind of work through the process that way.
Okay, so diversification, you threw that out there. Was it just looking for different asset classes then? Is that what you were really looking for with the self-directed IRA? Or were you actually looking for real estate, I guess would be the question to ask.
I think I've always had an interest in real estate. I've heard lots of good things, and but the big intimidating factor was really just having to know so much about that space and joining real estate investment groups, and really educating myself. I didn't really have the time or the time, essentially the time or resources to go focus on that. So when I kind of came across Beckstone, it really seemed like a turnkey type of option, and so kind of working through that process, it's definitely given me the ability to get into that asset class without necessarily being an expert in it.
So two different assets. One is your time, and then the other is, let's make sure we get something that grows over time. So
yeah, for sure.
So you ended up independently finding Beckstone. Were you referred, or how did you find Beckstone?
I think I got a call from Kevin one day, and we just kind of started chatting, and kind of piqued my interest.
So one thing led to another then. Okay, so that's good.
Yeah.
So what, when you did start investigating it, what resonated most with you early on once you started thinking about it and hearing from Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the due diligence and market research that was being provided to me. I mean, I certainly didn't know anything about the geographies or properties that was being presented, but definitely felt like there was a lot of data that kind of supported why the particular markets we were targeting was emerging, and there was a lot of good opportunity there. So I really appreciated that, and it just seemed like a good chance to kind of get my feet wet in the industry, as opposed to trying to find something locally. I live in Denver, and you get a little bit of sticker shock at the property values and things like that, just because things have been skyrocketing lately. You want to make the right decision, but you also want to buy at an opportunity where it's not gonna break the bank on a single asset.
Well, it's funny you brought that example up. I was going to ask what resonated most. Was it the potential upside in the cash flow, or was it being able to get into real estate and maybe protect the downside a little bit? Because as you just mentioned, Denver's had a lot of appreciation lately. So which one of those resonated most with?
I would say that, the upside potential, just seeing the potential industry coming to the local area, all the jobs being created, naturally you're going to see, as supply and demand and results, and property value increases naturally from that. So it definitely seemed like a good opportunity to take advantage of.
Yeah. So when you started researching real estate, did you find yourself with additional information that helped you in other areas as you looked at your 401k account and other investments that you also had? Or did it expand your thinking in other areas as well?
Yeah, it definitely expanded my thinking in just, ways that I can, like I said, diversify the portfolio. And I think the peace of mind that I had is, I didn't have to, transfer, my whole entire IRA account into this asset class. I was able to, start with one property and then, kind of see how it goes and determine if, building out that asset class even more makes sense, kind of as I see the results.
Yeah. So as a young guy in your 30s and you're looking at, potential, were you looking at things from a 5-year standpoint, 10-year standpoint, or are you looking very, very long term as you look at your investment portfolio? Yeah,
I'm looking from a long-term perspective, over the long run. Certainly a retirement account, so they're assets that I wouldn't be able to access responsibly until retirement. And kind of understanding, the specific asset may not be that long, but the asset class and being able to leverage those properties into acquiring additional ones in the future, is definitely something that seemed like a good thing to look into and really move forward with.
So long-term potential cash flow is probably the number one driver then for you.
Yeah, for sure.
As you looked at it. Yeah. Well, it's interesting, being young, you haven't thought about this yet probably, but at someday retirement means you've decided to cash your last paycheck, and then you have to rely on yourself. And so that's, one of the things that I've been finding out a lot of people have been appreciating is that cash flow aspect of the real estate is really the diversification part of it.
Absolutely, because it's definitely nice to have a consistent paycheck even after you stop pulling the train.
Right, and I've been investing long enough to know that account balances in IRAs, especially in the stock market, it's not so much about the account balance, it's about what the cash flow is going to generate, and sometimes when you have those ups and downs, it can be challenging. So pretty wise decision to diversify, like you said. So tell me about the experience. What did you appreciate? You mentioned that Kevin had reached out, which got you thinking about real estate, and then I'm sure you went through a bit of a process to get comfortable with that. So what did you appreciate that made you feel comfortable about it and helped you eventually move forward?
Yeah, I think it was, I definitely had several conversations with Kevin and Timothy about the assets and the opportunities and what's available and and all those different types of things, and being new to it, I certainly had some levels of initial discomfort. So they really took a lot of time to answer my questions, walk me through the process, even as we were starting to begin, setting up the accounts and those different types of things. They had personal relationships with a number of the different parties, so they were able to kind of help me move along through that, which is something I really appreciated. So it was it definitely was less. There was a lesser amount of friction than I anticipated in just completing the transaction and getting through that whole process. So that was something I certainly appreciated. As someone who's bought a few houses, refinanced a couple times, I was pretty surprised to see how much easier this was than those processes.
Right, yeah. So I'm wondering if, as you were going through the process, or maybe even since you went through the process and invested in real estate, one of the things I like to learn is what people say to other people, because that sometimes is the best way to understand what you do appreciate and feel comfortable about. So is this something that you've brainstormed with other people about, or shared what you're doing? And if so, how do you simplify the explanation of your investment with Beckstone?
Yeah, I would say, an opportunity to get into real estate investing without becoming an expert in real estate investing would be probably in the most simplest terms I would put it in. So that was something I certainly appreciated. Now, I'll say that I did vet a lot of this out with some people that I know in real estate, and just kind of wanted to ensure that from their perspective it passed the sniff test. So that was a big part of it for me, and just kind of distilling it down, having them take a look at those different types of things as well. And thankfully, in my experience so far, it certainly has passed that, and I'm starting to see that cash flow come in. So, everything that was promised is being delivered. So that's been amazing.
That was a wise choice. Run it by somebody you have trusted and independent third party and getting their advice. But that is a very good decision on your part. And with the self-directed IRA, it's tough you can't invest in it and manage it yourself. So looking for a partner like this is very, very beneficial for the IRA.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So is this, one last question, is this something where, again, you're so young that it probably, talking about retirement planning maybe doesn't come up very often, but talking about investing does come up from time to time. Is this something that Beckstone delivered enough peace of mind where you're comfortable talking to other people yet about, what they do and encouraging them to reach out, or is this something where you're still getting more comfortable with the whole situation before you do that?
Yeah, I think I'm comfortable talking about it, definitely from just the front end and kind of initially, getting cash flow and that type of thing. Obviously there will be something to be seen, and once the properties are, it's time to move on from the property and different properties, and whether some of the projections that were outlined, as far as appreciation come to fruition and those different types of things. That only comes with time, as you know. So, but yeah, I would say definitely from kind of the front end perspective of things, I've gotten a lot more comfortable with it.
Nice, very nice. So is there any one piece of advice, or maybe there's more than one piece of advice, that if you could just throw out an idea or two on what Beckstone Partners can do to provide a better experience for you, what's one thing that you could suggest as far as potential areas where they can improve the experience?
I saw some of the kind of different projections, and I saw some of the one pagers on, how appreciation and how that all works, and cash over cash and those different types of things. I think it'd be nice to kind of see that, once the decision's made on the specific property, and kind of like crunching the numbers on that specific, my specific property and all that. I think would be a little bit more granular detail would be certainly helpful for me to see. I've started to see like the statements, the monthly statements for the, mortgage versus cost, taxes, all those different types of things, and net cash flow. So that's definitely been helpful. But kind of being able to see those numbers plugged in from a modeling perspective once the decision's been made, and then so I can kind of keep that in my records.
Okay. Yeah. So kind of the part of the delivery process is just to have that one pager that you can look back at over time.
Yeah, and I think
that's a good idea.
I think it even helps from having conversations with other potential prospects, people that I'd potentially be referring on. I can say, this is my property, and this is what
right.
is what we're seeing, this is what we're projecting, and that type of thing. So I think it really helps give the story even more substance.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we'll have to put you on the marketing team so you keep thinking of other good ideas. So,
sure.
But Adam, I was looking forward to this and just having a conversation with you and finding out how things went. So I appreciate you investing your time today. Is there anything where maybe you were expecting a question from me that maybe I didn't ask, or was this pretty much what you were expecting today?
No, I think this is great. I wasn't exactly sure what to expect, but this is, I guess, in line with what I would have expected. So, this has been great.
All right. Well, thanks for your advice.